discuss the last point, if I may. I didn't actually hear your argument for why it's a cancer.
But because I haven't said anything about it yet.
Ideology is more cancerous than the right.
Well, I didn't say, this doesn't say the right is cancer. It says MAGA is cancer. So, like, for example, they're openly celebrating murdering people without any kind of due process. I find, like, that particular example is extremely cancerous. They're celebrating all kinds of violations of basic rights, especially centered around the idea of due process. And they just cheerlead for it, and it's extremely disturbing.
Yeah, agreed. I guess I'd be attempting to argue against the point to say the other ideology is potentially worse, but arguably both could be seen as cancers. Both taken to the
What do you think is the opposite of MAGA?
Beneficial, but well, I would say, for example, people celebrating Charlie Kirk dying. That's not MAGA people. That's equally.
MAGA people do that, and Charlie Kirk openly called for the execution of Joe Biden.
So it's okay to be happy when Charlie Kirk dies because of what you said.
Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, is my point. If your point is, well, the reason the other side is bad is because they do what my side does, then you don't have an argument.
No, I'm saying both are bad. Do you accept that?
There are elements of each that are bad. I think on balance, and again, this is specific to MAGA, they are absolutely just atrociously worse. And
it's interesting because the one
like
point
when I can't. This was a long time ago.
Get killed, but then you are saying it's okay to be happy, or it's acceptable to be happy. When
literally millions of MAGA voters. I led off with this are celebrating the murder without any kind of due process of those people on those boats. And the administration has absolutely no proof that those people were engaged in the criminal activity they allege. In fact, literally the day after they did it, they said, oh, we're going to find the legal justification for it. They had absolutely nothing. And if you go, like, I don't know how much you're on Twitter, but go on Twitter and look for video clips of the MAGA stuff with the, we've recently found out that it was either 1/3 or 2/3. I don't remember, but either 1/3 or 2/3 of the people that were in the Alligator Alcatraz detention center have been disappeared without a record. Their families, their lawyers, nobody has any idea where any of those people even went to. And we have, again, the killing in international waters of those people on the boats. Every single time you look at that kind of stuff, it's going to be absolutely flooded with MAGA people commenting, this is what I voted for. They absolutely cheer for the death of people all the time. And I can remember back to Trump's first, I'm literally still talking. I can remember back to Donald Trump's first term in office when, damn it, what was his name? Senator John Lewis, I believe was his name. Let me get that right. Pretty sure it's John Lewis. Yeah. John Lewis passed away. I don't remember what year. I can get that for you right now. 2020? I thought he died before that.
Your argument that
but anyways, so he died, and I used to, I don't do this anymore because I got so utterly just sick of it, but I used to go on like the right-wing websites like Breitbart and Daily Wire and The Blaze and stuff like that. Whenever shit like that would happen, and I'd be like, okay, well, what are they saying about it? And every single story covering him, it was just flooded with people openly celebrating his death. So it's it's so much worse.
Agreed on that.
What's that?
Okay. No, I agree. People in, forums and things like that talking like that it's not healthy. I don't agree with it at all. But
so I've been talking a lot, but I do have to get one more thing out. So I'm sorry about that. Sure, I will let you talk at length after this. But another important thing is the false equivalency you're painting here is really, that's the thing that annoys me the most with people trying to defend the political right or the MAGA right in this country. You're saying random losers celebrate on the internet celebrating Charlie Kirk's death is the equivalent of what we see on the right. Not a single prominent elected official that is a Democrat has done anything other than condemn the killing of Charlie Kirk. Meanwhile, when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked with a hammer, Donald Trump made jokes about it. His son made jokes about it on Twitter. I had another one in my head and now I can't remember. But like
to be fair,
the elected, like Donald Trump and people in his cabinet position, they are the way that they just spew this toxic and often violent rhetoric. That's coming from the absolute top. So when you compare sides and you say, oh yeah, a bunch of random internet losers saying something is the equivalent of the rhetoric that actually comes from the top on the other side. I find that to be really wild. So anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's all good points, to be fair. And I agree on all your other statements above. MAGA as a cancer, I agree with you. So I'm not kind of some fringe lunatic. But in essence, you've made some good points. I can't rebut everyone, and most of which I agree with. But what I'd say, it seems to be a trend that there's more violence on the left towards the right and vice versa.
Literally in since 1975, 75% of all political terrorist attacks in this country have been right wing. And in the last 20-odd years, by far the most deaths associated with political terrorism were on 9/11. It outnumbers everything by quite a lot. But if we take that out and then compare political left and right, it's like a 3-to-1 right versus left.
Okay, I'm not talking about in the extreme case. I'm talking about in the general case that riots. George Floyd was a kind of a left ideology. There's lots of carnage, whereas the right wing movement, they seem a lot more peaceful. What happened after Charlie Kirk's death? There wasn't much.
Did you hear about January 6th?
Violence. Yeah, no, of course, but you know what I'm saying.
Donald Trump pardoned all of those people.
During the Black Lives Matter.
Can you give me an equivalent of an endorsement of the violence from the top by the left, including pardons?
So you're not saying that the followers then are more violent or more cancerous. You're saying that it's the actual MAGA party is more cancerous. Is that what you're arguing?
Well, that's been my argument the whole time, but again, to equivocate, I could sit here and look up the numbers because, like you said, well, I'm not talking about the extreme political violence like terrorism or whatever. I mean, I could look up the numbers, and I don't know them off the top of my head. I'm completely confident right wing, hate crimes or whatever we're going to call this, are going to far outnumber left wing. But again, to equivocate, it's not even remotely surprising to me that there was an incredible amount of social unrest when a guy was just murdered in front of people on a cell phone, and it just, because that tells people that because it was done by the police. Okay. So that tells people that it's completely like that the country's basically illegitimate when the people that are supposed to protect you are just going around doing that kind of thing. And it wasn't an isolated incident. It was the last straw for all kinds of people, because there was Philando Castile a few years before that and all kinds of others. The Charlie Kirk case is radically different. So if you're going to say, oh, well, after George Floyd, there was all this violent protest, but it was mostly peaceful demonstrations as well. And in Charlie Kirk, all they did was go to the State Farm Arena for whatever. Okay, it's completely different. If Charlie Kirk had been assassinated by a Democratic elected official or something like that, it's not exactly the same thing as the police, but the police who murdered George Floyd are a branch, like an extension of our government, right?
Well, it's still an individual.
And so that tells people that the system is against me here. Charlie Kirk's assassination by some random dude is not I kind of ran out of the words to describe it, but it's not the equivalent of a seemingly overtly
systemic issue.
Systemic political type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I just think that people so hang on. By that argument, then you're suggesting that all of the crime statistics and things like that. I assume you're suggesting that they're exaggerated, they're not real, or there's some sort of
What crime statistics?
Injustice in the system, like ethnic, black on white versus white on black, etc. Those sorts of ratios. Are they correct or incorrect? Because you're talking about they are incorrect or.
No, I said I don't think that they are incorrect.
Okay, because you're talking about police brutality, but now everyone's got body cams. It's not as common an issue. I mean, was it a real issue, or are you saying that they effectively believed it to be an issue, hence why they reacted that way? Or are you saying that they were rightly justified?
George Floyd was like the 10th high-profile killing of a black man by the police in a period of like 5-6 years.
High profile, though. I thought the stats are quite consistent with per capita white and black deaths by police, or are they not?
What is your argument that George Floyd deserved it, or what is your argument here?
No. My argument, your argument was that they reacted in that way because they've all experienced all this oppression, and it's their way of rising up.
I didn't really say it's because they're experiencing oppression. It's because an unarmed man was strangled to death for no good reason. Why would you think? Why would you think? And before that, it was again like Philando Castile being murdered, and that caught on video camera. I hate that I can't think of more names off the top of my head, but there were all these examples. Breonna Taylor, I think, was. Was she before? I think she was before George Floyd. Or she might have been after, actually. I don't remember. But anyways, there had been all of those examples. And so when that happens and people say, the fucking police are just, I don't know if they're evil, racist, or just so incompetent, but they're going around killing all of us. And if your response is, well, yeah, but black people commit more crime, so black people are being policed proportionately correctly, therefore you would expect sometimes some of them to get shot or strangled unnecessarily. No, I don't accept that.
About the fact that they commit more. I'm talking about police altercations or interactions, whites, blacks, per capita. I think it's quite consistent on injuries and deaths. There's no extreme adjustment.
That's your okay. So you're saying, yeah, people overestimate the number of unarmed people that are killed by the police every year. Yeah, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, so my argument is, was it justified for them to... I mean, your whole premise is that they were justified to riot, whereas Charlie Kirk is a different situation.
I'm against violence, but I can understand, like you can understand why something would happen. I don't want to switch...
For Charlie Kirk.
What?
You could understand if people were to riot for Charlie Kirk, you could understand why they would. Neither's justified. I'm saying one side does it more than the other. That's kind of my base argument. But it's okay when the left do it, but the right are the more violent.
I never endorsed any kind of violence, including in the summer of 2020. I was always against it. I literally made a YouTube video
the initial points
at the
were
time.
People cheering about violence and celebrating violence on the right. I made examples of when they do it on the left. You said, well, it's different because it's Charlie Kirk and glass houses, etc.
Nobody was
and you're
what?
No. Well, the people on the left, there were a lot of people happy with his death on the left.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So that I'm just rebutting, saying it's the same basics happening on both sides. I don't think right is worse than left. If anything, I think the left are more violent than the right, and less.
That's just factually not true.
Yeah. Well, we've gone over a few points, but it's hard to say factually. But that's my piece anyway. But carry on. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I'm happy to announce that I can now offer signed copies of both of my books. This is because I've reopened my merch store where you can get your very own Spanky, t-shirt, and more. If you don't know, Rational Answers to Stupid Questions is a collection of responses to about 100 of the most common anti-scientific tropes. The book is meticulously detailed, it's been fact-checked by real scientists, and it's written in a clear and easy to understand way. Evolution, the Big Bang, creationism, flat Earth, All of that plus more is in there. Facts That Aren't True is a collection of over 150 commonly held beliefs that are not true. Each claim has a story behind it. You'll learn the history behind the claim, the science that disproves it, or partially supports it in some cases, and lots of side stories and tangents. Categories include the human body, history, religion, animals, nature, language, and a hodgepodge of miscellaneous facts that aren't true. So if you want to be equipped to handle the misinformation that you see me tackling here every day, get a copy of one or both of those books for yourself. Thank you. The probability of a violent act of extremism in the United States being committed by a left-wing extremist was found to be 0.33, 0.61 by a right-wing extremist, and 0.62 by an Islamic extremist. So basically a twofold difference between right and left-wing extremist political violence. And this is not, it doesn't specify that this is terrorism or anything like that. And this is from the Department of, here, I can actually put it on the screen. Department of Criminology at University of Maryland. So not just some, you probably couldn't read the text, it was really small, but not just some like random ass thing here. And that is from a period between 1970 and 2017. Oh, never mind. That's just part of the data set.
Am I still in?
What?
Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I cut off. That's so that those some stats on. Well, I guess it all depends on the classification of violent extremism, doesn't it? And what crimes they put into which sector. There's a lot of fudging that happens for those sorts of reportings. But in essence,
no, I don't know. That.
When you have people, when they want to record, like during COVID, everyone that died with COVID, and it's kind of a bolt on a lot of causes of death, etc. I'm not saying it's a big conspiracy. It happens. Obviously, people put things in certain categories or keep them out depending on where the pressure is. So again, it would come down to the definition of sort of whatever. I forget the phrase, but it was like violent extremism. So. But when people are out and about, doing these, say, peaceful protest rallies, etc., quite often, all these prominent speakers on the right, particularly, they need quite a lot of security to do the events that they do. Whereas on the left, there's not really any requirement for security. The right aren't trying to attack them or shouting in their faces or doing all the things the left seem to do, obviously end up assassinating people. Again, it was another left-wing guy that...
I feel like they probably would if there were left-wingers, like popular left-wingers going around saying, oh yeah, the white majority in this country, they're actually intellectually inferior to people of color. If they said the equivalent types of things that they do, like great replacement theory, intellectual inferiority of different outgroups, the unbelievable xenophobia toward groups that are not part of their religion or whatever. If people on the left said those types of things that these prominent popular left-wingers do, or right-wingers, do, then actually, yeah, a security detail probably would make a lot of sense. So, like, can you point to me a prominent left-wing commentator that says equivalent things to that?
Yeah, no, I'd just like to address the point that you think that somebody on the right would tackle that issue with violence as opposed to open discussion and to basically to rip apart their ideas, because that's what should happen. But if you can't,
I agree, but you can't be surprised.
No, I'm saying.
It's not the most surprising thing ever.
Well, we spoke about what's surprising and what's acceptable. You keep jumping between, it's not surprising versus acceptable. I don't think some people on the right would do that, actually, because their ideology is literally kind of against
maybe they wouldn't. So let's take
to the correct conclusion.
Maybe they wouldn't. So let's just say that the country is evenly split. We have 170 million right-wingers. We have 170 million left-wingers. Charlie Kirk got killed by somebody that maybe is a left-winger. So that's 1 out of 170 million on one side, 0 out of 170 million on the other side. how different are these groups? They're so similar that it's not even worth entertaining.
You're picking from the extremes again. What about general
I'm not.
violence against the... You are. You're picking about now assassinations. So that's the most extreme it could be.
Because that's the specific example you gave. These people that go around doing the talks or whatever. Anyways, we're gonna stay. Hold on a sec.
Just for general harassment. Anyway,
right. So we're gonna stay on this topic. I'm not changing the subject. I just want to show this real quick. So this is the actual academic study from that Maryland, University of Maryland, whatever that was. So I fed this, again, I can't read an entire 20,000 word or whatever it is paper right here. So I just fed it into, the chat GPT, and I asked it, what are the conclusions from this study? And basically right-wing violence is about twice as common as left-wing in here.
Can I ask that you put it the same article, or ask ChatGPT who the author of the article is, if they have any political leanings, and who actually sponsored the article or the study?
So you're just saying the data is fake?
Context. I mean, no, ask ChatGPT if there's any, get ChatGPT's opinion if there's any potential political leanings or, funding issues in respect to the outcome. Just ask ChatGPT. Without that context, that study's kind of irrelevant in my eyes. You need to know. You need context. I would look into it myself, but I haven't got the study. So if you ask ChatGPT, you'll give a brief overview. We'll take it.
The study is right here. Take a screenshot on your phone.
No. You just want ChatGPT.
What do you mean no?
Just do a follow up. Just do a follow up question. ChatGPT, can you confirm, whether or not this is the author? Well,
so I did that. It's right here. Do you have any insight into how this study was funded, or what the author's political? But that should have been apostrophe after the S. What the author's political beliefs are. Cannot find any evidence that the authors of the study in question, Jasko, Lafree, Piazza, and Becker, have disclosed strong political ideological commitments. So the PubMed entries indicates a conflict of interest statement. The authors declare no competing interests. So yeah, that's actually super common. That kind of stuff typically goes at the bottoms of these. Well, it's going to be somewhere in the discussion. If you've ever read an academic study, they do that kind of thing. So they list none in there. And these people, you can just look up who these people are. Now, if they work at universities, people that tend to work at universities tend to be, I guess, kind of more left-wing politically, but you can't just throw out every study because of that. So anyways, say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, no, well, like I said, it's hard for me to debate the facts contained in that study, but we were talking about extreme. I think there was another buzzword in it. It was like extreme terrorism or extremist terrorism. So again, we need to look into the definitions of that and what crimes are categorized as what. So we're kind of going a bit circular on it. So you're relying on kind of an authority of a study. I'm kind of just giving real world examples about, like, say, the right needing security when they do their talks versus the left. You said that the right would need security if they said the same things. I argued that they still wouldn't, because that's not how the right operate. And then we kind of bounced all over the place. But
that's just such a ridiculous thing to say when they're twice, when they commit twice as many.
It would be carnage.
When they commit twice as many crimes as the left, that's a completely ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah, so we're falling back on the study again. So yeah, that study in isolation, that's all I had to go off. Only that study, and no other kind of examples that I discussed. And then extremist terrorism in that study. Yeah.
This study is not specifically just terrorism. It uses...
What did it say? Sorry, what was the term?
There's two. So I said, I think I might have said terrorism, but I also said that there were two data sets. So it uses two of them. A global terrorism database, but then it also uses profiles of individual radicalization in the United States data set.
Radicalization.
Yeah, and these
so it'd
these
be
are just
interesting to know how
ideologically
many
motivated
white people
things.
versus left
So like,
people would be.
hold on, buddy.
So if you were to look at the
Like,
general
for
popular
example,
and
are you aware of like the Christchurch shooting?
yes,
Yeah, so that's just that's obviously a
yeah.
extreme right wing motivated attack, and he went and shot up that church for what reason? Because they're black. That was what he said. I can't remember if that was that kid, because there were a couple of these types of incidents, but I
these
think it
outlier
was that
cases,
one.
though, like
They
one in
literally, the
millions
kid
is-
literally, as he was putting more bullets into his gun because he ran out, said to them, "You have to go. There's too many of you," as he was reloading.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's an awful situation. It's not comparable, but it's similar.
How is it
potentially. I'm
not
interested in your views
comparable?
on it. No, sorry, I'm about to give another one. The young
These
lady,
people
the Ukrainian girl
were
on the bus.
their
is that
crime
racially
was
motivated, in your
existing
opinion?
as black people in America, and they were murdered for it. How is that not
I agree,
comparable?
horrific. No, sorry. I went on to say I'm looking to compare it with the case of the Ukrainian girl on the bus that was murdered.
That guy was
I'm interested to
mentally
know- I'm
insane. You
interested to
think
know
that was a
whether-
political
right, so
attack?
Well, no, he said, I'm going to get that white girl. I think he said it twice, but of course, it's unlikely to be categorized as a political thing. This goes back to my whole point about how crimes are framed and statistics can be skewed. So it'd be interesting to know that wasn't seen as a racist attack, was it? But he did say, I'll get that white girl if the shoe was on the other foot.
I think
The
the
white
guy.
guy
I
did
think
that.
the guy's insanity
riots,
is a
and you
better
know it.
description than his racism.
Everyone that murders people
If he-
are insane.
What's that?
Everyone that commits murder is insane in some way. They're not stable people.
I don't necessarily
There's no
agree with
excuse.
that. But also, the guy,
Really?
if he said, "I'm gonna kill that white girl" or whatever,
Again, the right at the bottom.
what is it that he said?
He said, I'm going to get that white girl.
Okay,
And then
did he
said
say,
again
"I'm going to
afterwards, "I
kill
got
her
that
because
white
she's
girl."
white"?
No, you're absolutely. Yeah, well, there you go. So there you go. So you don't think it's
Yeah,
racist?
there I go, but there you don't go. You're not going anywhere. And I think that story I was
saying.
telling about the kid reloading his gun, that was the Buffalo,
not
New
racist.
York shooter, I think. Somebody said that in the chat.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, that case is brutal. There's no disputing what the motives were and what it's about. But I'm saying this case on the bus, that won't be categorized as a racial thing. So this study you refer to,
Yeah, I kind of
Again,
doubt it because I don't think there's strong evidence
well, I
that it
think-
was
I think
motivated
crimes
because
like
she
that
was
should
white.
be included.
Say that again.
Yeah, okay. Well, no, I think a lot of people will disagree, but I guess that's a right-left issue. I think there's just a double standard applied. If a white man did that and said, I got that black girl, and he said that twice on a bus full of other white people, and she was a black girl, I think we all know there'd be riots, similar to the George Floyd thing. That's just the fact. Goes back to
I
my main
know,
core argument. You have to be
because-
open-minded to this. I know
No,
you're very
because
committed
it
to your
only
position,
happened
but
with
you've gotta be
George Floyd
open-minded to
because
this.
again, it was like the 10th high profile example of the police doing it. Do you know who Ahmaud Arbery?
Disestablished. Black
Do you know who
people
Ahmaud
don't get
Arbery
treated
was?
unfairly by the police. It's consistent. No.
Getting murdered, strangled to death is not fair because your demographic commits more crime than the other demographic. Fucking God. Do
you're
you know who
saying-
Ahmaud Arbery
You're
was?
saying black people. You're saying black people are more entitled to have a riot because
I
blacks are treated
never
unfairly,
said
you're saying.
that. I'm saying your
Okay, you weren't
comparisons are
surprised why they
garbage.
reacted that way.
Buddy, your comparisons are so stupid. Do you know who Ahmaud Arbery was?
No, I don't. Sorry.
Ahmaud Arbery was this black guy, and he was I think he lived in Georgia, and he was just jogging through his neighborhood. Two white dudes, or it might have been, pretty sure it was two. They got in a pickup truck. One of them sat in the back with a shotgun, and they hunted him down and fucking blasted him and killed him. Okay? There were no riots associated with that. Just like there wouldn't be riots if the roles were reversed in that train situation. Why? Because it's a random murder committed by random citizens. The George Floyd case is so much different because it's the actual, like the country, the civics, or like the civic, how do I want to say it? Like the, I talked myself into a wall. Like the police are there to protect you. It's part of our civic government system. And when they murder people unjustly, despite your best efforts to say, well, I don't know, When they do that, then what that does is it tells people the system is illegitimate. Just like when Donald Trump peddled the lie that he actually won the election, it's not all that surprising that they attempted to overturn the election when Donald Trump was telling them the system is broken, the people in power stole it from you. They're just going, that's when you get this kind of revolutionary attitude of the system is completely lost and I don't find any legitimacy in it.
I know, I understand all those points, but why was it so racialized? Because
why was what racialized?
That's the issue, isn't it? What we're discussing, the killing of George Floyd, it was racialized, correct? Because
did people go around saying fire all white cops, or did they say defund the
Black
police?
Lives Matter. No, they were
because
saying
you accused it of being racial. So were the Black Lives Matter people saying fire all white cops, only good cops are good cops? No, they said the police are wildly incompetent.
And if you even dared to say all lives matter, then, I mean, you're a racist instantly. It was a massive racial issue. That's what the whole movement was about. It was a racial issue.
Because, because they think that the police, the police are doing a horrendous job.
A white man versus a vice versa.
JT, stop.
Like 10 to 1
it's because they think... now I have to mute you. It's because they think the police are doing a horrendous job of interacting with like unarmed, innocent black people. Well, George Floyd committed a minor crime, but interacting with unarmed black people. The who was that? There's too many of these to keep track of, unfortunately. But there was a really let me look it up. There was a really high profile killing in the South of a black man, and all of the police officers were exonerated. I'm pretty sure all 5 of those police officers were black. And it's not like the Black Lives Matter people were going around saying, oh, well, that one doesn't count because the officers were black. It's about the way, yes, it's racial because it's about the way the police are treating black people. It's not about Derek Chauvin being white, and that was the problem, or anything like that.
I think it was. That was kind of one of the main things. Okay, but why were white people not as equally outraged? It was kind of more of a riots on the left. The left sort of leaning political people got quite involved. And
because the more high-profile victims happen to be black people, and people don't empathize as greatly with out-groups as they do with in-groups.
Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, I mean, I kind of think that the left are very quick to riot, but obviously you're suggesting that it's justified. I think that,
I'm not justifying it, I'm explaining it. Again, when you compare a random murder by some random mentally ill person in a subway to the police doing it, that is so not equivalent.
So was it racially motivated, the George Floyd murder? Did you think that he did it because he was black? I forget.
Do I think that Derek Chauvin did it because he was black? No.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking. Wasn't sure if we'd need to discuss that one. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, I've made some points. I think they're kind of based, I think, firmly in reality. I think that the left they're more quick to violence, quick to anger. I don't think the right do at all. As I said, right are very well armed in your country.